Healing from a narcissist isn't linear. It's not dramatic. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel completely free. It happens in small shifts, quiet changes, moments where you realize something is different. Something has changed in you. And the biggest change? When they no longer have power over your emotions. When their words don't devastate you. When their actions don't control your mood. When thinking about them doesn't send you spiraling. When you're finally, truly free. But how do you know when you've reached that point? Here are 5 signs that the narcissist no longer has power over your emotions. Sign number 1. Their attempts to manipulate you feel transparent and almost boring. There was a time when their manipulation worked on you. When their guilt trips made you feel guilty. When their gaslighting made you doubt yourself. When their love bombing pulled you back in. When their silent treatment devastated you. When their rage made you scramble to fix things. But now you see it for what it is. Manipulation. Just tactics. Just patterns. And it doesn't land the way it used to. They send you a message designed to make you feel bad, and instead of spiraling into guilt or self-doubt, you just think, oh, they're trying that again. They try to rewrite history, and instead of questioning your memory, you just recognize it as gaslighting. They try to hoover you back in, and instead of feeling flattered or hopeful, you just feel tired. Their tactics that used to have so much power over you now feel predictable, transparent, almost boring, because you see the pattern, you understand the game, and you're no longer a player in it. This is huge. This means you've developed the ability to observe their behavior without absorbing it, to witness their manipulation without being manipulated, to see them clearly without being pulled back into the fog. Sign number 2. You can think about them or talk about them without an emotional charge. In the beginning, just thinking about them was overwhelming. It brought up rage, or grief, or anxiety, or all of it at once. Saying their name felt like swallowing glass. Talking about what happened made you shake. Your nervous system would activate just from remembering. But now something's different. You can think about them and feel relatively calm. You can talk about what happened without falling apart. You can mention them in conversation without your voice changing, without your heart racing, without that familiar knot in your stomach. This doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean what happened doesn't matter. It means you've processed enough of the trauma that they no longer trigger your nervous system the way they used to. You've created enough distance that they don't live in your body anymore. You might still feel something when you think about them, but it's different now. It's not that raw, consuming emotion. It's more like remembering a bad storm you survived. You remember it was terrible, but the memory doesn't recreate the terror. This is what emotional freedom looks like. Not forgetting, not pretending it didn't happen, but being able to remember without being re-traumatized. Sign number 3. You no longer feel the need to defend yourself or prove anything to them or anyone else. When you are under their control, you are constantly defending yourself, explaining yourself, trying to make them understand, trying to prove you weren't what they said you were, trying to justify your reality, your feelings, your needs, your very existence. And even after you left, you probably still felt that need to defend yourself to mutual friends, to prove you weren't the crazy one, to make people understand what really happened, to set the record straight. But now you don't care anymore. Not because you've given up, but because you've realized something crucial. People who want to believe their version will believe it no matter what you say. And people who matter will see the truth without you having to prove it. You no longer feel compelled to respond to their accusations. You don't need to correct their lies. You don't need to explain your side to people who've already decided what they believe. You don't need anyone to validate your experience for it to be real. Your truth is your truth. Their lies are their lies. And you're no longer in the business of convincing anyone. You know what happened. That's enough. This is freedom. Real freedom. When their narrative doesn't touch you anymore. When you're so solid in your own truth that their version becomes irrelevant. Sign number 4. You're no longer waiting for them to change, apologize, or acknowledge what they did. This is a big one. For so long, maybe you held on to hope. Hope that they'd see what they did. That they'd apologize. That they'd change. That they'd finally acknowledge your pain and take responsibility. That there would be some moment of reckoning. Some closure. But now you've let that go. Not because you don't deserve an apology. You do. Not because what they did was okay. It wasn't. But because you've realized something liberating. You don't need their acknowledgement for your healing to be complete. They're probably never going to change. They're probably never going to apologize. They're probably never going to see you as anything other than the villain in their story. And that's okay, because your healing doesn't depend on them anymore. You've stopped checking their social media hoping to see signs of change. You've stopped imagining scenarios where they finally understand. You've stopped waiting for the apology that will never come. You've closed the door on that chapter, not with bitterness, but with acceptance. This is maturity. This is true healing. When you can accept that closure comes from within, not from them. When you can write your own ending to the story without needing them to play a part. And sign number 5, you're building a life that has nothing to do with them. In the beginning, everything was about them. Getting away from them, healing from them, understanding what happened with them, processing the trauma they caused. Even your healing journey was centered around them. But now your life is about you, your goals, your dreams, your relationships, your growth, your joy. You're making choices based on what you want, not based on avoiding what they did to you. You're building something new that has nothing to do with them. You have days, maybe even weeks, where you don't think about them at all. You're invested in your present and your future, not stuck in the past. You're creating a life so full and meaningful that they've become a smaller and smaller part of your story. You're dating again, or you're content being single. You're pursuing interests that light you up. You're building friendships that are healthy and reciprocal. You're setting goals that excite you. You're becoming someone you're proud of. And none of it has anything to do with them. This is the ultimate sign that they no longer have power over you. When your life is yours again. When you're the main character in your own story, not just someone reacting to what they did. When you're living forward, not looking backward. If you're recognizing yourself in these signs, celebrate. Really celebrate. Because this is hard-won freedom. This is real healing. This didn't happen by accident. This happened because you did the work. Because you chose yourself. Because you refused to let them define you forever. And if you're not there yet, if they still have power over your emotions, that's okay too. You're not behind. You're in process. Healing isn't a race. Every step toward freedom counts. Every moment you choose yourself counts. Every boundary you set counts. You're getting there. And these signs will come. Maybe sooner than you think. The narcissist tried to make you believe you couldn't exist without them. That you weren't strong enough. That you'd fall apart. But look at you now. Healing. Growing. Becoming. Taking your power back piece by piece. Emotion by emotion. Day by day. They no longer have power over you. Or they're losing it. And that power? It's coming back to where it belongs. To you. You're stronger than they said you were. You're healing in ways they said you couldn't. You're building a life they said you weren't capable of. And the best part? They're becoming less and less relevant to that life every single day. That's not revenge. That's freedom. And you've earned it. Thanks for watching. Which of these signs resonated with you? Where are you in your healing journey? Share in the comments. Your progress might inspire someone who's still finding their way. And if you're still healing, still working toward these signs, keep going. You're doing better than you think. We believe in you. Subscribe to keep healing together. You will stand again.